Hey everybody, we're back here in Inside the Ropes. We are backstage after a sold out show in Glasgow with the one and only Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Shawn, thank you again.
Thank you, and I apologize I got the dip in and everything else. It was like, it's my after show.
Yeah. You can relax now. This is like the, they do like the kind of, there's Walking Dead and then there's Talking Dead. It's kind of chilled show afterwards.
And then me dead, it's very close to dead.
So, WrestleMania is coming up. And Mr. WrestleMania, all that kind of stuff. So one of the things I was curious about was, especially maybe for more the second run that you had in WWE, what's like a day like at WrestleMania? Like when do you arrive? Is it one of those things where I know for you being a sort of big name main event guy, do you go in kind of knowing how long it's going to be, what's going to kind of go on? Talk us through a little bit of how a day goes at WrestleMania.
Sure. Well, so first of all, now for the most part, so you do Raw. Now they've got SmackDown going on Tuesdays, so you're almost, now talent is probably leaving straight from that TV, going straight to where we're going to have WrestleMania and spending the week there. Now me, at the time I was there, so I was on SmackDown, so I go home Tuesday, Wednesday, but then, Thursday you're packing up. We're getting there early, but they've always got a lot of stuff going on. We got fan access and things like that. You're gonna have lots of interviews, and also, it's time to sort of get there and get the feel, get the vibe, and start, sort of figuring out what it is you want to do to your match and stuff like that. Certainly, quite some time in advance. Usually about the Rumble, I think you're finding out what it is you're gonna do at WrestleMania. Now, there's some of us. The longer you've been there and stuff like that, you might go farther out and things of that nature. But clearly, overall, company-wide, the Rumble, I think, to me, is the biggest sign towards us really starting to go into what I would call our WrestleMania season. But that week, it's busy. You're doing a lot of, a lot of press, a lot of interviews, a lot of different things. They've got a lot of, as you know now, we go in now, we literally sort of take over a city. For the week? Yes, yeah, and it's almost like the Super Bowl, and so they got all sorts of stuff going on at different places. There's talent all over the city doing a number of different things, and they sort of do their best to divide that up as best they can. Now, depending on, again, it's one of those things that I'm just being honest, depending on one's seniority and things of that nature, there's certain things you might say, look, man, at about Thursday night, certainly for me it was, and it's funny, my wife was obviously, man, come Friday, he turns off and just start, and I would start to go into my own, I had to start going there.
Get in his own.
Yeah, and certainly, you go to the Hall of Fame's always wonderful, but you're there sort of in body and everything else, but the mind is really starting to go. What they've really done, the greatest thing they've done is now moved the Hall of Fame
to Friday.
Friday, yes, and that was the hardest thing. That's why even at my Hall of Fame speech, I did my best, and even Scott and Kevin, you notice we all tried to make ours really short because that's a long, late night for the guys who've got a big day the next day.
And what's interesting is you retired in 2010, 2011 you go in the Hall of Fame, in 2012 you do the end of an era Hell in a Cell match and you're the referee. And I think one of the most kind of understated but great moments in wrestling is that, the super kick into the pedigree where you do the count and then you sort of sell shit. Like I gave in and went into that. How does that, retirement 2010, but that match in 2012, there's such a great respect and memory for that match from fans.
Yeah, and again, that's another one of those things where, much like Taker and I, again, there's the three of us there, we share a lot together. Hunter and I have got, everybody knows, our relationship, we are buddies, and then of course, Taker and Hunter are buddies, he and I are buddies, and you just have to understand, there's a bond there, sort of between us, and then after everything Taker and I sort of created with one another, and this match sort of another sort of portion of that, as I'm so involved, and the relationship with Hunter and I, and now there's, it's sort of this, dare I say, lovers triangle type thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a dichotomy there that's very interesting. And we just knew, again, that was one of those things where we could, emotion-wise and relationship-wise, that the fans got it. I mean, they understood all of those different emotions and scenarios that went on between all of us, and those were all things that we wanted to make sure that we incorporated into that match. And again, the struggle of me and my best friend, but the ultimate respect I have for this guy, and the matches that I had with him, and make sure that we tie all of that into the match. And that's where all of that comes from. And as I say, and I've said it tonight, I've said it on all these shows, and it is, that to me is when, again, everybody wants to talk about all the changes in the wrestling business, and and I don't know how smart fans are. To me, that was one of the greatest things that ever happened, because as we began to convey those real life emotions that they knew went on top of what we put on TV, stuff that went on behind the scenes, how they knew about that, how we could bring that in to the matches, the parts of the real life and our real relationships. That was important, and it meant a lot to us to do. And that's where, again, that scene as we all go up the aisle, that spoke to a lot of people in a number of different ways, and they got it. They got the end of an era being much more than just sort of a tagline, and that's, again, to all of us, it is more than that. And so it was for the three of us, more than anything. Personally, it was the end of an era, because we knew it was going to be the last time that probably the three of us were going to get to share a WrestleMania moment like that together. And that, like I said, for us in this line of work, that's our that's our thing. That's what we take with us.
What I also want to ask you about is, WrestleMania. I think about it more and more. I think you've started every WrestleMania. You're Shawn's Hunter's Corner is brought, but I was at WrestleMania 31, and it's the match with Sting.
Like the clap, man. That just won't go away.
So there's Sting and Hunter, and they're gonna have this match, and then it's one of those weird things where very rarely when you're a wrestling fan do you go, imagine this happened, imagine this happened, imagine this happened, and it did. And you and Taker are almost kind of like that. It's like, imagine if they did this, but nobody could even imagine what you did do. But in this match, it's Sting and Hunter, and people are watching the match, and then imagine if DX and the NWO both just came out, and it all just went down. And it doesn't have to all make 100% sense, but it's just like, it's fun, it's nostalgia, it's this. Talk about that experience.
No, and that's exactly why we do it. Because it is. No, it doesn't all make sense. And that's the thing. You can nitpick the death, and believe me, we all do that. But then we go, no, what's more important is just that, the what ifs. Wouldn't it be neat if it, and all of us know, yes, it's all 10 years too late. So, all those things. But still, if we've got the opportunity to at least give you a hint of that, a feeling of that, we want to do that. That's what we do, especially at WrestleMania. So that's why it would happen again. Sting finally here. We finally got the opportunity, and Hunter's the last one really here of anybody that's, that you want to see Sting with, so to speak, with the exception of maybe Taker. And then the NWO's here. We're all here, so let's do it. And it is just us doing our best to take advantage of all of that nostalgia that we do have, and at least try to give you a feel of that moment that you always wondered about.
And my last question for you is almost like forgotten WrestleMania memories for you. Everybody talks about the big match, but is there one WrestleMania match that you have you kind of go, people might not talk about it all the time, but I really enjoy having that one. Is there one that people don't mention as much?
I think there are probably a lot of them. My one with Nash, it was a lot of fun. My one with Tatanka, at WrestleMania 9, it was sort of ended in a no contest or something like that, or DQ. But that was, I don't know, that was a fun one to me. Honestly, you go way back to Marty and I against what was it, Barbarian and Haku. That was just a really good match. So to me, there are a fair amount of them, to be perfectly honest. And it's I appreciate the fact that all sort of focusing on Mr. WrestleMania and stuff like that. But I go back to again, like that tag team match and even our first one with Akeem and the Boss Man. Just people sort of like, oh, those guys are pretty good, and already starting to at least know that WrestleMania is that place where you get it. If you put on a show, man, you can do good for your career.
And when you look at WWE right now, and who's there, is there someone you look at and you go, he could be Mr. WrestleMania now. He's the guy that every year could have a match.
Well, I think AJ is an easy pick. AJ, especially every time he goes out there, and he goes out there with the same mindset. I think Finn's going to be a guy that can certainly be that, or has every intention of doing that. You know, you've got. I think Elias is somebody that I would keep an eye on. Elias Sampson. I think I like him, and honestly, I think Braun is from a different perspective. I think Braun has got some big things, in his future that I think, again, he may, I think he's just got the possibility of being something special from a company standpoint. Seth Rollins, I think Seth is a dude that goes out there and has that mindset of trying to deliver on a fairly regular basis. More than anything, that's what I enjoy, is that there are a lot of guys that look a lot like you-know-who. And I don't mean physically, I'm saying guys that aren't the biggest dudes in the world, but guys that you got to certainly look out for, because they're going to steal the show.
And we want to thank you once again for not letting Vladimir Kozlov have WrestleMania.
Dude, that was one of those, I don't know, just out of the blue things that you started saying. I was like, it's like I didn't know that.
Because somebody posted the graphic up a couple of months ago, and I was like, shit, that really could be
tremendous.
So we want to thank Shawn Michaels for being here. He's with us on tour all week. I'm sure we'll do something again. Shawn, thank you very much.
You bet.
It's been a pleasure.
Kidding.
We'll see you soon.